Podcastology, a podcast about podcast. This is a little mini-sode where you get to listen to me talk about things.
I'm sure it's a very normal size.
No, it's quite mini, I think you'll feel. But it's about what you do with it. And on that note, what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to talk about myself.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about my new podcast. Hurrah!
It's fair. You're allowed to plug your own podcast. Liz has proven that many times in the past.
You know what the best thing about it is? It's not even particularly me plugging it. It's more just, it's a very easy way to fill some time. I know intimately what I'm going to talk about. It's me.
At least he's honest.
I am joined, as always, by my host sitting across from me.
Zane C. Weber. Technically, I'm next to you. But
You are next to me.
I do think we need to be accurate there, just so that everyone gets a very real idea of what the situation is.
Yeah, we just won't mention the purple dinosaur suit that I'm wearing.
It's very it's very much
now
your
we've
colour.
mentioned it. Can I ask why you're wearing it?
Because imagination is a wonderful thing. Sitting across from me.
Is Brittany Taylor Hetherington.
Wonderful.
I'm naked.
Yeah, now you've got a very confused image of what's going on. So I'm going to talk about my podcast, my new podcast, which is on the That's Not Canon network. It is called Bookworms and Barflies. I do it with a couple of friends of mine, and the concept is that...
An entomology podcast.
Is that the one about bugs or the one about words?
Bugs.
Yep. There's a fun joke I do when I'm more cognizant of what I'm saying about the difference between etymology and entomology, but I'm not going to make it now because I'm just not.
Now you've hyped it up too much.
Yeah, but
now it's just a joke. It's not a great joke.
I'm too tired to do the punchline. It requires a lot.
It's an active punchline.
I guess we'll just have to listen.
Yeah. You come back next time and I'll tell that joke at some point.
So what is Bookworms and Barflies about?
Bookworms and Barflies is me and my two co-hosts, lovely Caitlin and Richard. We all together study a Masters of Education.
Nerd.
We all have either English or writing degrees.
Nerd.
Thank you. And we all at some point worked in hospitality professionally. Myself, for the longest time, I was a professional bartender for 7 years, and I made cocktails for a living. The other two also did bar things, and we decided it would be fun to put these specialties together and get pissed and review books. So that's what we do. We start the podcast relatively sober. The last time, episode 2, which isn't out yet, we just came in drunk.
Pre-game the podcast.
Yep,
Was
still
that-
haven't listened back to it, so we'll see how it went.
Was that pre-planned or just all independently?
No, we had a uni catch up earlier. We're like, fuck it, we'll roll.
Yeah.
So we talk about books. We each select a number of books based on a number of criteria, one of which is a book in the zeitgeist that we feel like we've missed out on, another of which is an old favourite that we wish to share, and then also one that we are not familiar with that we were excited for in the coming days. So the ones, for example, that I picked were Circe by Madeline Miller. Oh, or was that Caitlin's pick? Devil House by John Darnell, the lead singer of the Mountain Goats, which is a true crime book, which I'm very excited for. And I also picked... Oh, it's just gone out of my head.
I guess we'll just have to listen.
You will just have to listen. You can tell that I'm doing this off the cuff.
Or maybe you were a little drunk at the time.
Potentially, maybe I've blurted out. So of the two people here with me, one of the Zane has listened to the podcast as it's on his network, so fair enough. He'd probably want to vet that before I put anything on air. Britt has not, but that's fine. Zane,
Don't
what did
take
you
it to
think of my
heart.
podcast?
Yeah, so this is a definitely podcast where if you like books, that's probably the first thing that's important to know about it. If you're not that interested in literacy and examination of literacy, even the personalities talking about literacy, you're going to struggle with, because most of it is about books and making jokes about books. And sometimes that gets a little, in jokey because you need to have read books.
Yep.
But yeah, it's lots of fun. This is the kind of podcast where when you buy into the conceit and the relationships, it feels like you're at a party talking about things that people are passionate about. That's definitely the vibe I got. Kind of a party with a group of professors who are like, no, this is what happened in this book.
And the funny thing is, if you know a little bit about books, you might know enough to know that we don't actually know what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you'll enjoy it.
Interpretation, I suppose.
You'll enjoy it from all perspectives. Britt,
I have a few questions.
yes, fire away.
And one that is, when it comes to book reading, are you a purist in that you have to read it with your eyes, or can you listen?
Oh God! For some reason, I didn't go straight to audiobooks. I was like, "Is
Braille?
it Braille? Is
Yeah,
it
no.
interpretive dance?"
I just wanted to know, do you take in all forms of media when it comes to book reading?
You can absolutely. And the way we've kind of designed this, it's a little bit of a book clubby thing. So we will announce the next book we are reading, and then we give a whole month for you to read along with us if you like, so you can kind of engage in the conversation. You do not have to have read the book to enjoy the podcast. It is just a lot of me, Richard and Caitlin, talking absolute shit and getting progressively drunker as we talk absolute shit.
And do you have any, Facebook groups? Because that sounds like that might be something for if people are interested in book reading that they would want to, add in part of the conversation or recommend books and stuff.
Yes.
Have you yet got that sorted out?
The socials are coming, hopefully. I am leaving that to Caitlin, as she was a high up advertising person at a company that I shall not name. Do we have to worry about? No one listens to this enough to worry about copyright, do we?
About copyright?
About if we slander a company, I'm not going to do it. I'm gonna stay on the safe side.
Not mention
Play
companies.
it safe.
Yeah, no, we're gonna play it safe. Yeah, no, you do not have to have read the book. You can definitely listen to it.
And my second question, just because I haven't heard the terminology used much before, so it's going to drive me nuts, is what makes a bartender a professional bartender? If that's all your villain origin story.
I think I would call it professional purely because I did it for so long. And there is a difference between someone who wandered into a bar job and that's just kind of what they're doing for the moment as like a just out of high school thing, and someone who is not going to be a liability in a busy bar.
Yes, sure.
And you can always tell that difference. And it's someone who has a basic, like a background in cocktail knowledge and spirit knowledge, and has attended various trainings over the years potentially, and has a stock of both physical skills and actual knowledge about what you are serving.
Okay,
Physical skills.
The ability to work very quickly under fire, basically.
Okay. See, I would class a professional bartender as someone that you can walk up to and say, I'm in this mood and I don't know what I want. Make me a drink, please.
Yeah.
And they'll give you something with some thought behind it rather than just a neat whiskey.
And there's a whole spectrum of like, when you first engage, you won't know what to do with that question when you first start out as a bartender, and as you get more bitter and jaded, you'll be like, no, I'm just going to give you a neat spirit because you asked a stupid question. And then as you come more into the actual professional aspect of it, you'll be like, okay, I'm gonna engage with you and give you something that you enjoy, because why be an asshole when you could just have a fun time?
Yes. So that's the thing. Someone who's comfortable making a choice for you, I think,
For sure.
is a professional bartender.
And it would hopefully be a good fit then.
Yeah, and like I have my own, even like when you ask that question, I have my own stock of things that I would have given you. Like I might make some value judgments about the person I'm talking to, but I have a list of cocktails that, like, it might be a one of my go-tos for a party was a sour, not a whiskey sour. What's the other really popular one? Oh my God.
Brandy sour?
I've been out of the industry too long.
A gin?
Brandy sours you hardly ever see anymore. That is one of the older forms of sours.
Yes, Zane.
I know. I'm ancient.
Oh,
Very,
wow.
very rare to get a brandy sour ordered these days. No, I'm talking about the corruption, the party person corruption, and I can't remember the name of it.
It's not like a
maybe you're not a
vodka
professional anymore, Harry.
I
You
truly,
can do it,
come
baby.
here.
You can do it.
I truly have left the industry.
What? Yeah, you're free now.
What a time! So yeah, it's going to come back to me at like 2:00 in the morning.
And then you'll shout it upon social media.
I'll shout it to the ceiling. So yeah, that's what the podcast is about.
What was the first book you reviewed?
The first book we reviewed was Dune by Frank Herbert.
Was it a particularly favourable review?
I think from memory
From the vague
from
memory
the
that I
hazy
have.
memory at that late in the night, we did end up getting like not trashed, but we were drunk by the end.
You
of
were
it.
quite well sourced.
We were on the way, which I think was like what the level we were aiming for.
Opening your third eye, getting to the fine line between enlightenment and
Yes.
sloshed.
We gave it a good review. It is a sci-fi classic. And the one, episode 2, which will hopefully be out shortly, barring COVID things, is Circe by Madeline Miller, which I mentioned earlier. It is one of my favourite books of the last 5 years. Super excited to review it. I hope you tune in. It's fun.
I will eventually.
I recommend. If you like books and you like just fun podcasts, this is the intersection of those two.
I'm just washing my hair, but as soon as that's done, I'll listen.
Any day now. You'll come back from buying those cigarettes.
Would you be any more likely to listen to it if you knew that they hated the book and they've been reading it over and over and over again?
You know what, Zane? That sounds like something I might enjoy.
Cool. So
on that note,
wonderful. This has been a little mini-sode of Castology, where I recommended my own podcast. Go figure. Podcasts are excellent. Keep listening to podcasts.